We will announce the names of the students and their schools at the conclusion of this speech meet. But just now you'll hear speaker number 1, the benefits of listening to music in the classroom. And let me say first, because I forgot, the speakers may or may not use the podium. It's up to them. That's their choice. And they may or they may not use note cards. That is also up to them. Okay? Now there's no interruption.
Do you ever find yourself disturbed or distracted while doing homework? Do you have trouble focusing or staying on task? Well, turn on your music. Music engages areas of the brain with paying attention. Some educators believe that students work better in silence. However, students should have the opportunity to listen to music because it helps with concentration, it helps them be calm and get in a better mood, and it can help them relieve pain. Students should listen to music in class because music has the ability to help with the task at hand. A study on scientific reports stated that listening to music you like helps you focus on your own thoughts. A test with an MRI scanner played different genres of music, and it showed that preferred music helps with switching between your own thoughts and what's going on around you. This opportunity should be given to students because it helps them be less distracted from what is going around them, which in turn can help them focus on more on their own work. Another way music can help students with concentration is it helps them remain productive. Music acts like a white noise, which prevents them from hearing distracting noises around them. Noises such as pencils, sharpeners, tapping, talking, and more can disturb their learning. An article in the New York Times states how some workers listen to their music when they see themselves losing focus. If an adult can benefit from listening to music in their workspace, so can a student in their learning environment. Another way students can benefit from listening to music, it will reduce their stress. Music can change one's mood for the better and can make them see the world happier. Music can calm them down and make them feel less nervous. A report on Psych Central says that classical music has a beneficial effect on our psychological functions by slowing the pulse, heart rate, lowering the blood pressure, and increasing the levels of stress levels. If students listen to music, they will be less nervous, which will mean they will do better on their work. Another way it impacts their stress levels is music impacts their moods. Music can put students in a better mood. They can go from feeling under the weather into above the clouds. Scientists at the University of Missouri find that students can boost their mood by listening to upbeat and happy music. When students are in a better mood, they are more willing to do a better job. Another way students can benefit from listening to music in their workspace is that it can ease pain. Feeling anxious about getting a hurtful medical procedure can hurt, but turn on the music because it can help take the sting out. Volunteers went for a test and received a shock in the fingertip while trying to follow a melody and trying to notice a small disturbing noise in an unusual note in the melody. It succeeded in decreasing the pain. Another study had scientists examine patients with chronic pain disorder and play their favorite music. Patients have resulted in feeling less chronic pain. On the other hand of things, some educators believe students work better without music. They have a belief that they think they work better in silence. A memory test for adult participants at the University of Wales found that music hampered the test takers. However, there is more evidence that shows that can counter this. Students should listen to music because it helps them with concentration. It will help them feel less nervous when they are working. Music can also help students be more calm, still, and soothing. In conclusion, students should use music in the workspace so that they can use the benefits of it. It can help them with concentration, it can help them be calm and in a better mood, and it can help them with pain. Thank you.
Just so you know the order of business, you listen to the speakers, and at the conclusion, there will be a chance for a party, cookies and punch for you to enjoy, and that's while the judges do their work. When they are ready for you, you'll come back and sit in your seats, and we'll go on from there. In the meantime, the judges are working from a sheet, a judging sheet, and they're filling in all the little boxes. Like, well, number one, organization. The speech has a logical and sequential development and a recognizable introduction, recognizable body and conclusion. This is what they are listening for primarily. This is a contest in which they are trying to convince you to think a certain way on a certain proposition. You know, you tell your children, don't argue with me, and here we are applauding kids who are presenting an argument to you. But that's the way it is. And there are no heads up looking at me, so I will tell you that the next thing. The speech includes a counter-argument in the third and final argument, research and knowledge. The speaker substantiates ideas with relevant evidence and has clearly gone beyond hearsay knowledge of the topic. So you will hear some very well-informed young people. They've done a lot of research, and they've gone through competition in their own buildings, and they've won in their own buildings. So each one is already a champion. And the judges are beginning to look up. So, you know that speaker number 2 is going to talk on cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying is the use of technology to repeatedly harm or harass another person at will. Now, imagine a student having to show up to school with the same person that has been cyberbullying them online. Some say since the bullying did not take place in school, there's nothing that the staff can do about it. But imagine how helpless that bullied student would feel. If there's a child in the school that is known to be a cyberbully, actions need to be taken to stop them. Cyberbullying students should be punished at school. The victim will still be affected at school. It could stop the bully from having a criminal future, and it could prevent the victim from committing suicide. These are all valid reasons for schools to take the matter of cyberbullying into their hands. First of all, the victim will still be affected at school. An article entitled "Prevention at School" states that bullying can threaten a student's physical and emotional safety, as well as impacting their ability to learn. When a child is being bullied in the school, it is very hard for them to concentrate, especially when they know they have to go home and see all of those horrible things on their phone. Assemblyman Daniel O'Donnell states that appalling incidents of bullying, both in person and through the use of technology, continue to plague all of our students. Cyberbullying haunts students just like regular bullying does. It will even affect the victim's attendance rate, as they no longer feel safe in the school, because cyberbullying follows them everywhere. Secondly, it could stop the bully from having a criminal future. StopBullying.gov states that kids who bully are more likely to engage in violent and other risky behaviors in adulthood. When a child is not corrected for doing something wrong, they will think it's okay for them to continue doing bad things. The same source tells us that kids who bully others are more likely to abuse alcohol and other drugs, get into fights, vandalize property, or drop out of school. Measures need to be taken in the school to correct these students and to contact the parents before they get out of hand. Stopping the bully will help ensure the well-being of themselves and others. And finally, it could prevent the victim from committing suicide. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention states that suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people. resulting in about 4,400 deaths per year. When a child is being bullied and they don't get the proper help they need, they will feel very vulnerable, and some may even resort to taking their own life. The Cyberbullying Research Center tells us that cyberbully victims were twice as likely to have attempted suicide compared to youths who had not experienced cyberbullying. Steps need to be taken in the school to help these poor victims before they end up making an irrational decision. The schools could possibly prevent one of their own students from killing themselves. Still, some say since the bullying did not take place in the school, there is nothing that the staff can do about it. But it will be impossible for a victim to learn when they know that the person that was cyberbullying them is walking carelessly through the halls. And that cyberbully could go on to cyberbully others, or even begin to bully others face to face. Cyberbullying follows youths everywhere, especially into the classroom. And if there's a conflict noticed in the school, it needs to be taken care of in the school. To conclude, cyberbullying students should be punished at school. The victim will still be affected at school. It could stop the bully from having a criminal future, and it could prevent the victim from committing suicide. Ana Maria Chavez, the Chief Executive Officer of the Girl Scouts of the United States of America, rightly states that unless or until our society recognizes cyberbullying for what it is, the suffering of silent victims will continue. Don't let a cyberbully get away with harassing another student. They need to be disciplined in the school to help maintain a safe and healthy learning environment. Thank you.
You know, I've been emceeing this contest for a number of years, but every year I'm surprised at the topics. And this year, we've really gotten to be 2016. The topics never would have been thought of when we first started. Of course, cyberbullying, there was no cyber. Standardized testing. We were, gee, when I was in the classroom, I gave nice little intelligence achievement tests. One day, a year. You too, judging by the nodding, that's what you went through. And somehow you all managed to get an excellent education. And we didn't have the state say, excuse me, I don't mean to. The LGBT community. One would never have thought about this when even 10, 12 years ago. This is progress. The adoption of new topics, it's really exciting to see how the kids are keeping up with the times. In fact, sometimes going ahead of the times. It's very good. Were you aware of this when you looked at your program? How timely it is. Timely. Be quiet, Betty. And introduce speaker number 3, the death penalty. Thank you.
I would like the chaplain to say a prayer not only for me, but also for the victim's family. As for them, I'm sorry for the misleading. Greg. Greg. A mere name. A name that means nothing to you, or to me, or to anyone for that matter. Or so it is thought. You see, these are Greg's last words before being executed by means of lethal injection. The death penalty not only destroys one family, but starts a chain reaction that destroys 2. This is why the death penalty should be eradicated in all 50 states for 3 reasons. 3 simply factual reasons. 1, waiting on death row is torture enough. 2, there are too many people that have been wrongly accused. And 3, it is completely unacceptable and inhumane. Waiting is the worst kind of torture. Waiting creates fear. Fear creates angst. Angst creates illusions, and illusions are signs of mental illness. Manuel Vale, charged with the murder of a Florida police officer, Luis Pena, waited 33 years on death row. And according to Stuart Grayson, a psychiatrist and former professor at Harvard University, found in a public research that in the most severe cases, there was agitated, psychotic, and self-destructive behavior. The healthy often became ill, and there was a severe deterioration in those who were already sick. Waiting has a psychological impact that nothing else does. 4.1. Think about it. It's a number that means absolutely nothing to you right now. But according to The Guardian, an information website about the death penalty, 4.1 is the percent of convicts that are wrongly put to death each year. That's roughly 8,000 innocent men and women put to death every single year. Among these men was Troy Davis. Davis was 42 at the time of his execution, and of the 9 witnesses that testified to seeing Davis beating up a homeless man, then shooting a police officer to death, 7 have since recanted their evidence. Of these 7, Antoine Williams subsequently revealed that he had no idea who had shot the police officer and that he was even illiterate, meaning he couldn't even read the police reports he'd signed at the time of the murder in 1989. Others also falsely testified to seeing Davis admit to the murder. But it was too late. Why can other people go on thinking that this is not unacceptable? The death penalty is ineffective as a deterrent, and the appeals process is expensive and cruel to the surviving family members. Martin O'Malley, current governor of Maryland and former presidential candidate. He used the words ineffective, expensive, and cruel, and he used these words because they're true. They're especially true in the case of Mr. Roy Blankenship. Dr. David Wasel, a professor on anesthesia at Harvard Medical School, states that he can say with certainty that Mr. Blankenship was inadequately anesthetized and that he was conscious for approximately the first 3 minutes of his execution. He goes on to state that Mr. Blankenship suffered greatly. What more is there to be said? Now, I'm aware that you may hear people say that the death penalty is an effective way to prevent homicide, but I am here to tell you right now that that is false. Because the southern half of the United States has 80% of the executions in America, yet it still has the highest homicide rate. Meanwhile, New Hampshire, who hasn't seen an execution since 1939, has had the lowest homicide rate twice in the past 5 years, in 2009 and 2014. Even the people that have lived the nightmare, the people whose family members have been victims of homicide, the people who have endured unimaginable pain and unimaginable grief, those are the people who have not lost sight of what is right. That a person is a person, no matter what they've done. It's like Rennie Cushing of Time magazine, whose father and brother were both brutally murdered. He says, "The killing killers will not bring back victims." Thank you.
I know I haven't read you the rest of the qualifications, and I will, but I keep thinking of things in the meantime that I want to tell you. Number 1, the youngsters are being treated to lunch by the Lions Club. They do this every year to our winners, to our speakers, and I think first and second place speakers get to talk to the Lions, and the rest of them get to eat and relax and enjoy themselves. Parents are usually allowed to come if they pay their own way. Teachers are paid for. But that was coming up, that's a week from tomorrow. So the Lions Club lunch is a treat for all. You're smiling, good, and you're ready. I'll be quiet, kind of. Perfect. Standardized testing, helpful or harmful? Number 4.
Imagine with me for a second. Imagine that you are a language arts teacher. Your students are in the 8th grade. At the beginning of the year, you are given a list of standards that your students must master by February. At that time, the first of 2 standardized tests will be administered to your students. How well your students perform on this test will determine your success as a teacher. Your pay will be affected. And if your students fail, you could lose your job. Now imagine that you are a student of that same teacher's class. The stress that is on your teacher is weighing you down. On the day of the test, the tension in the room is slicing through your brain. Even a straight A student like yourself has trouble concentrating. The situations that you have just pictured are not tall tales, but the reality for millions of students and teachers across the United States. I believe that standardized testing is detrimental to education. I believe this because it doesn't take into consideration students who struggle with testing, it makes teachers teach for the test, and doesn't measure overall student progress. My first argument is that standardized testing does not take into consideration students who struggle with testing. There are many people who simply do not perform well on tests. Many of them are smart and understand the content, but it doesn't show on the test. It's an article from Columbia University. Many external factors can limit a student's performance on the test. This is because their minds are preoccupied on the pressing thoughts of that day. This could include insomnia due to anxiety, arguments with siblings, family problems, and lack of nutritional meals. Many people who easily pass their classes are not congenial test takers. My second argument is that standardized testing makes teachers teach for the test. According to Molly Hicks, additionally, the pressure of performing well on these tests, especially those that determine graduation from high school, causes teachers to structure their curriculum according to the test, rather than helping their students gain real-world knowledge that will help them succeed in life. This shift in the classroom focus causes students to lose interest in school and may even encourage students, especially those from minority or low socioeconomic background, to drop out of school. Creativity is being replaced by the rigidity of standard-based education. Studies show that people who are intelligent have excellent information recall, which is used on standardized tests. But people who are creative have a form of intelligence that is of a higher order. Do we want students who can think at a higher level, or those who can simply recall information? My third argument is that standardized testing does not show the student's knowledge at the time of the test. Columbia University states, this is a disservice to both the student who worked extremely hard over the course of the year and improved tremendously, but failed to score proficient, and the teacher who worked hard to help their student score great on the test. Regulated tests do not show a student's ability and knowledge at the time of the test. Tests are created to assess a student's knowledge base, meaning that tests are not representative of a student's total academic ability. Supporters of these standardized tests say that standardized testing guides teachers in what they should teach. Though standardized testing does help teachers organize their curriculum, it pressures them into teaching topics that simply prepare their students for a test. Assessments do not focus on the skills that students need for success. Standardized testing also makes it difficult for teachers to prepare their students for their future, which is the job they were hired for in the first place. In conclusion, standardized testing does not take into consideration students who struggle with testing, it makes teachers teach for the test, and doesn't measure overall student progress. Assessments judge both teachers' and students' abilities unethically and cause many esteemed teachers to resign because of unwanted stress. Standardized testing wastes time that students could be exploring career topics that they want to follow. Standardized testing also causes anxiety for millions of teachers and students. Imagine with me once again. Imagine that you are a student of that same teacher's class. Every day you come to school with a giant smile on your face because you know you're being challenged creatively. Now imagine that you're the teacher of that student. Every day you go home with a giant smile on your face too, because you know that your students are being prepared for their future, not just an unfair test.
Usually, this begins in a classroom. As students do the research, put their talks together, practice on each other, speak for one another in the classroom, and the best is chosen allegedly, and there is a school contest, and then we end up here. But there's a lot of conversation at home, I am sure. And helping are the parents. And I think as long as we're proud of the kids and we're going to applaud them, we ought to applaud parents who give a good helping hand to these kids. We appreciate it very much. So let's hear it. Come on, parents, stand up. Let us recognize you. Let's see who the parents are who are here. And let's see if we can put them with the kids. Thank you. Come on. Come on. Good, thank you. The judges, incidentally, are also timekeepers. There is a set time, 3 to 5 minutes, and they are checking this as they go along. Well, you'll have to wait for number 3. Not number 3 speaker, number 3 reason, while you listen to number 5, legalization of medical marijuana. Oh, there you are. And thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brianna Thomas, and today I'll be speaking to you on the topic of, should medical marijuana be legalized? Medical marijuana should not be legalized. This is a drug that may be intended to help people, but will only create many world and health problems. And in 2010, marijuana was involved in more than 461,000 emergency department visits nationwide. That's nearly 39% of all emergency department visits involving illegal drugs. Now, from this fact, we can already make an assumption that legalizing this drug would be the wrong thing to do. My first reason why medical marijuana should not be legalized is that if it didn't work before, why would it work now? And what I mean by this is that in 1970, Congress labeled this drug as being a narcotic and having no accepted medical use. This may be because the raw marijuana plant, which contains 500 different chemical compounds, has not met the safety and efficacy standards of this process. Narcotic is a drug affecting mood and behavior, sold for non-medical purposes illegally. Now, my next reason to why medical marijuana should not be legalized is that it will be harmful to people's health. No matter how you use marijuana, it typically causes distorted perception, problem with your coordination, and memory loss. It also can have long-term effects on your brain, lungs, and blood pressure. Individuals that are vulnerable may get schizophrenia from using marijuana. For an example of what marijuana use does is in Colorado on the first day of legalization, 37 individuals were found dead because of marijuana use. My third reason why medical marijuana should not be legalized is that instead of people using this drug responsibly for medical purposes only, they will take advantage of that and use it for their own recreational uses. People already traffic, which is sneaking, sell, and grow this plant unlawfully. Of the estimated 22 million pounds of marijuana grown each year in the United States, nearly 80% comes from the states of California, Kentucky, Tennessee, Hawaii, and Washington. Nearly 10,000 pounds each year was grown from the years of 2005 and 2009. Now, some people may say, yes, marijuana has helped people with cancer and people with different types of illnesses, But as I just stated before, they haven't thought about the fact of the different types of things they will get from using marijuana. Problems with blood pressure, lungs, brain. 9% of marijuana users become dependent, which is 1 in every 11 people, which may not seem like a lot, but considering how many marijuana users are out there, it actually makes a big difference. And in conclusion, marijuana should not be legalized for medical purposes. This drug will be taken advantage of. In 2011, 4.2 million people met the American Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders for marijuana abuse or dependence. This is more than people who met there for problems with heroin, pain relievers, and tranquilizers. Now, maybe from the facts I have stated, you will change your opinion on whether marijuana should be legalized for medical purposes or not. Thank you.
Gee, when I first started emceeing this, I could walk like you. And then I graduated to a cane. And now with a walker, but it's wonderful because I can put everything there that I have for you. So there are advantages to all things. Back to how your speakers are evaluated. Language is the third point. The speaker uses vocabulary appropriately, communicates with standard grammar, and employs sentence variety and word choices related to the topic. And I think we'd be very well aware of that. That's been quite evident. Delivery and presentation. The speaker has a pleasing appearance. True. Displays a positive attitude and honestly believes what he or she is trying to convince you of. Has good posture. That's almost it. There are more, and the categories are exceptional, superior, good, fair, poor. We don't care. We don't believe in that. Speaker number 6, the LGBT community.
Walking down the hallway, scared of every person that walks past you, scared of being pushed into another locker, scared of being called another derogatory name. All of this torture and harassment because of something you can't even change, your sexuality. 6 in 10 LGBTQ plus students are scared to walk down the hallways of their schools, and 80% of them report severe isolation. I strongly believe that members of LGBTQ plus community deserve to be welcomed with open arms instead of having doors slammed in their faces. I say this because it is a human right, they are born their sexuality, and they're just misunderstood in our society today. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. Just by me saying this, you should know that that's the preamble to the Constitution of our United States. And in the preamble, it talks of establishing justice. What is justice, you might ask? The quality of being fair and reasonable. Yet, in the United States, we deny so many rights to people of different sexualities. Does that seem fair or reasonable to you? Also, in the 14th Amendment, it talks of equal protection under the Constitution's laws, and how one should not have a right another doesn't. In Wedding Bells by Jeffrey Tobin, he talks of how you can't be prosecuted for being gay. And that got me thinking. Why can you be fired for being gay? Why can you be denied children? Why no Social Security survivor benefits? Why no joint federal tax returns? And why are trans people denied the right to serve their own country? Can you tell me why? 57% of people believe that you can choose or pick your sexuality. And if you're one of those people, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. A study started in 1973 by scientist Dean Hemmer was established to find out, are you really born gay? and within a couple of years, he found the answers he needed. He found that there were certain markers on the XQ28 region of your X chromosome that were in homosexuals that were in heterosexuals. The reactions to this study were huge in the LGBTQ+ community and the world, because it was the first study with molecular evidence showing that you can't pick or choose a sexuality. It is innate and you are born with it. When picking speech topics, when people asked me about my speech topic and I replied with LGBTQ+ community, people said, "Lizzie, the world already knows everything about gay people. Why give us another speech on it?" And this left me thinking, do you really know everything you think you do? Now, you've heard me use the acronym LGBTQ+ over a dozen times now. And if you know everything, can you tell me what it means? Probably not. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, in the plus meaning asexual, agender, cisgender, minsexual, pansexual, ally, intersex, etc. Just by me saying this, you know 34% more than the population polled. As you all may know, on June 26th of 2015, gay marriage was legalized in all 50 states. And as this was a joyous occasion for the community, I feel that Alexander Chee said it best. The war may be over, but the battles continue. I do understand that in the Bible it talks of man and women, and that is why God made Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But as a Catholic myself, I believe that God loves and forgives all of his people, such as in Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, nor male nor female, nor slave nor free, for you are all one in the eyes of Christ Jesus. In Acts 10:34, then Peter began to speak. I now realize how true it is that God shows no favoritism. And in Romans 10:12, there is no difference between Jew or Gentile, because the Lord is the Lord of all and blesses all who call upon him. In conclusion, I believe that the LGBTQ+ community deserves to have equal rights. Because they're born their sexuality, it's a human right, and they're just misunderstood in our society. And as my speech comes to an end, I would like to leave you with this. Now, we all have heard the cheesy saying, after the rain comes the rainbow. But I would like you all to imagine finally reaching that rainbow after a timeless amount of obstacles being thrown in your path. You finally see all the colors shining in the sun. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Someday I hope we can all realize the beauty of this rainbow, instead of some people always trying to bend it straight. Thank you.
So you now see 6 very relaxed young people, and 5 who wish they were. Helping get this organized is really, it's quite a job. And she's been doing it for, 3-4 years now, Miss Kristen. You wouldn't be here if she weren't a good organizer and doing this through her school. But I think that Miss Kristen deserves a round of applause for organizing this. You want to speak?
No.
It's a speech meet. You're going to say you're entitled if you'd like. Well, that was quick. And speaker number 7. Adoption. Is the price for hope too expensive?
I met a really nice lady today. She told me she wants to be my mommy. I'm so super excited I actually have a chance. But as I glanced up at her, I wasn't sure she was willing to take that chance. Why was she crying? Did I mess up already? I've been through the system too many times. Please don't give up on me. It's been 3 years since anyone has been willing to take me into their home. I guess that's a lucky number, considering the average is about 5, but still. 3 years is too long without love. I reached up and gently wiped a tear away from her cheek. Then I felt it. I know we both felt it. Not sadness, not sorrow, but a feeling so strong and powerful. Hope. Every year, 140,000 children in the U.S. experience hope. According to facts.randomhistory.com, that is a total of 7 million American adoptions. But there is one question that many people struggle to answer. Why am I paying so much to provide hope for someone else's baby? I strongly believe that adoption is not an industry based on profit, but it is a liaison between parents, children, and hope. First, you're not paying for a child, you are paying for the resources that help the child. Next, the cost is only a small fraction of the hope. And who can put a price on hope? Lastly, the economy and the opportunities in the United States are growing. The first reason I strongly believe that the price of hope is not a huge factor in the adoption process is you are not putting your money into an industry that sells kids just for profit. Instead, you are helping paying for the resources the child needs. According to TogetherForAdoption.org, adoptive parents and other adults in the child's life don't always see or understand how the child interprets their personal life events. Therefore, the child needs to receive special resources such as educated social workers and counselors. Also, when kids walk into a new home, most of them have only a black trash bag filled with a small amount of clothes. Lastly, there are no government funds for an adopted child, meaning the adoptive parents and organizations need to provide for that child's needs. The second reason I strongly believe that the price of hope is not a huge factor in the adoption process is the cost is only a small fraction of the joy. According to ThinkCivilNow.com, most adoptive parents are adopting because they are unable to have their own biological child. Most of these parents have already considered the financial burdens that go along with the adoption. These parents are already committed to the joy the child will bring into their family. A quote from an adoptive couple reads, "We loved you before we knew you. Even when there was just hope for you, we loved you." Now, some opponents may argue that adoption is sickening, overpriced, and only done so the company can market and manipulate pregnant women. According to AdoptionTruth.com, adoption is very pricey, the company spends millions on advertising, and you are paying for someone else's kid. Yes, the price can be well over $40,000. But if you were the mother with the child up for adoption, wouldn't you want your kid to be put in a financially stable household? If these adoptive parents are willing to pay that whopping $40,000, don't you think they'd be able to provide for that child's needs? Also, aren't companies supposed to advocate their business? You cannot expect for someone to take part in your company if they don't even know it exists or what its main goal is. Advertising is a huge part in the economic growth of the United States. Advertising businesses persuade the consumer to strive towards your industry, and eventually, companies will spread, growing the economy and giving more opportunities in the United States. As Henry Ford once said, "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time." Without advertising, these adoptive parents would be unaware of the opportunity of hope. There is absolutely no reason to believe adoption is an industry based solely on profit. First, you're not paying for a child, you are paying for the resources that help the child. Second, the cost is only a small fraction of the hope. Third and finally, the economy and the opportunities in the United States are growing. Why should children with nothing not experience hope? Why should adoption and the hope it brings be viewed as a negative thing? I'm going to leave you with a quote by an anonymous writer. "It's not the cost, it's the cause. There is no price tag on hope, no matter how high the number." Thank you.
I'm going to run out of speakers. I'll give you the rest of the list. Platform presence. The speaker demonstrates poise, self-control, natural and appropriate gestures, and facial expression. Some of you are smiling, so that's a good expression. And good eye contact. You are a very good audience. You really are maintaining good eye contact. You really are. That doesn't always happen. Eyes are dropped as people are reading notes. But you're so attentive. It's wonderful, and I'm sure the youngsters appreciate an audience that is aware of what they're saying and arguing for. It's good. Speaker number 8, disciplining special needs children.
Imagine living in a world where all you can see is black and white. There's no gray. Everything you do is either right or wrong. Nothing is in between those two lines. Your brain isn't wired to understand the connection of transgression and the repercussions that come after. Imagine doing something that you think is right and find yourself being struck with a switch or a bell. Having a kid with autism, you learn that their brains don't operate the same way as typically developing kids. Even spanking advocate Dr. James Dobson states in his book, The New Dare to Discipline, that corporal punishment is simply not appropriate for the neurologically handicapped child. They'll most likely mock your behavior rather than learn what you're spanking them for and not do it again. Children with Asperger's don't respond well to negative reinforcement either. According to Asperger's Child Discipline 101, kids with Asperger's often have trouble both understanding communication and comprehending the tone of your voice. They respond better to the presence or absence of things rather than actual human contact. Removing a preferred item, such as a toy, will get the point across way before spanking. Attention Deficient Hyperactive Disorder, otherwise known as ADHD, is a chronic disorder that includes attention difficulty, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. William Dotson, MD, a Colorado-based psychiatrist who works with families challenged by ADHD, says spanking a kid sets him up for failure. He can't make use of that experience and confirm his behavior for next time. As challenging as it can be, sometimes using a no-shout, no-tear method will work the best when disciplining children with ADHD. Now, some people believe that you should treat children with disabilities the same as you treat your other children. However, by doing so, you may traumatize your child or just make matters worse. You need to learn to adapt to the special needs that your child has. As you can see, a child with any type of disorder needs to be taught the difference between right and wrong, but not in a way where they're being whooped. Whether it's autism, Asperger's, ADHD, or any of the other many cognitive disorders, you need to learn a different way to discipline your child. If you can't, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to parent that child. Thank you.
Well, you have listened to some very well put together speeches, and I think it's high time to recognize the classroom teachers who helped formulate these speeches, gave the inspiration and the instructions so that they could be here today to perform for you. So how about a round of applause for the teachers, and will they stand up so we can recognize them? Nice job. Speaker number 9, cyberbullying. Soon.
I come home from school, run upstairs, then lock myself in my bedroom. I sit down on my bed, open up my laptop, and there it all is. All of those embarrassing photos of me getting reposted over and over and over again. All of those hateful messages calling me fat and ugly and an attention seeker. All of those heartless, cold-blooded people laughing at me, making me feel even worse. I close my laptop and just cry in my pillow, sobbing so much my makeup and mascara stain it. Why? Why do they all hate me so much? What have I done to deserve all of this, I wonder, only to quickly realize I'll never get an answer. And honestly, at this point, I don't even want one. I just want it all to go away. Cyberbullying. That's the topic I'll be talking to you about today. Is it a real issue? So many people think it's not, but it is. It's a huge issue. Cyberbullying, for starters, is bullying or any type of harassment that is done online or on an electronic device. It includes mean messages, texts, videos, etc. But it's a little different. First off, cyberbullying is harder to get rid of than what you would call regular bullying. How? Because it can happen 24/7. And if you have an electronic device, it's always there, following you wherever you go, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever and whenever. It's also harder to get help, seeing as how schools can do very much. And it's not that they don't care or could care less, they do care a lot, but their hands are basically tied since it's dealing with students' online lives. And parents, studies from DoSomething.org show that only 1 out of 10 victims will tell their parents. Secondly, since bullying online or on an electronic device can spread quickly, it gives cyberbullies a larger platform, leading to even further humiliation for victims. But so many people love to play devil's advocate and say that cyberbullying is not a real issue, that it's okay. Because think about it from the bully's perspective. Sometimes the bullies are the ones hurting, and they are the ones that are breaking and falling apart inside. So for them to make fun of me, it makes them feel powerful, cool, and confident. And I mean, what's the big deal? It's not like they're going to get caught. Based upon studies from DoSomething.org, 81% of the youth think that bullying online is easier to get away with than regular bullying. And maybe that explains why 1 in 3 kids have either been threatened or harassed online. And you know what? The things you say and do to make yourself feel powerful, cool, and confident make me feel weak, hated, and self-conscious. And I sink deeper and deeper into my depression, making it even harder for me to escape, just like so many other bullied kids. Do you know what depression can lead to? Suicide, and bullied kids are 2 times as likely to commit it. Matter of fact, according to cyberbullyinghotline.com, 1 in 5 cyberbully teens think about, while 1 in 10 will eventually commit suicide. And every single year, about 4,500 kids will succeed. Now think about this. Studies on healthresearchfunding.org show that there are roughly 7.5 million Facebook users who are under the age of 13. And of those, 1 in 10 report being bullied on there. If you do the math, 1 in 10 kids out of 7.5 million equals up to 800,000 kids. And that is more than the population of our country's capital, Washington, D.C. And unfortunately, it doesn't stop there. It gets even worse. Every month, about 3 million kids do not attend school because of fear for their bullies. And that is close to the equivalent of the entire city of Chicago skipping school. Now, I say that to say this. Did you know that from the years 1985 to 2007, according to healthresearchfunding.org, while technology and internet usage grew, suicide rates for teens did too. Girls from the ages 15 to 19 suicide rates grew 32%, while girls from the ages 10 to 14 suicide rates increased to a disappointing and horrific 76%. And maybe that's why suicide is the number 3 cause of death in the United States, number 1 and 2 being car accidents and homicides. And you know what also disappoints me? IN.gov says that Indiana has the highest number of considered suicides in the United States, and it comes second for those that were attempted. But still, so many people don't believe or consider cyberbullying as real bullying because there's no physical violence, and you can't really prove who did or said what. But bullying is bullying, and we have to put it to a stop. How many more lives do we have to lose in order for us to realize that bullying of any sort is wrong? How many more lives do we have to lose in order for us to say enough is enough? I hope it's not too long because we are losing 1 too many precious and valuable lives due to circumstances that are difficult but not impossible for us to avoid or control. Parents, I urge you to stay involved in your child's online lives. And students, I urge you to tell an adult if you witness any potential cyberbullying. Together, we can make a difference.
When I listen to the quality of the speeches, I may never get through this. There's one more point. But I'm reminded of the history of this speech meet. And some of you have heard it, I know, but I hope you'll be patient if I tell it again. This contest used to be in school cafeteria. And we stood up on the stage or in front of the tables and kids spoke. And it was wonderful what they were doing, but the atmosphere wasn't conducive to the praise it deserved. So a few words were whispered to Pat Antis, who was the wife of the superintendent, and magically it was decided this contest is good, it has merit, it has dignity, it belongs in a room with dignity. And so we moved downtown, we moved here into the boardroom, and we've been here ever since, where the kids can be in a room where things happen and where they can be appreciated and where you can show that you think this is a very valuable exercise for our kids. So that's the story. And you waited patiently. The last point, the speaker has sufficient volume, variety, and speed, proper enunciation and pronunciation. And you can try that out on speaker number 10. Cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged.
Picture this. You're lying on a medical bed and you're about to go under the knife. You've gone through all the required material and you're positive that you want to change your face or body permanently. You aren't concerned about the health problems or the accidents that could happen during the surgery. You don't even consider the fact that the only reason why you might want cosmetic surgery is because of the public's ideal image of an attractive person. To you, these details pale in comparison to your hopeful results. A perfect example of this is a woman named Tabitha Barrett. Tabitha hated the way her limbs looked, so she decided to lose some weight. After failed attempts at various diets, Tabitha turned to the internet to help fix her problem. Months later, she had a quote of $15,000 for liposuction to her waist and thighs, a breast augmentation, and a paid ticket to Thailand for the surgeries. After the liposuction surgery, she woke up and was told by a surgeon that he wasn't able to complete the surgery and that she needed 2 blood transfusions. He even told her that if she would get more surgery, she would die. 8 days and 4 blood transfusions later, she was finally able to fly home. Her pain didn't end there. She ended up getting an infection, and the doctors found that she had potentially deadly blood clots throughout her legs. All this Tabitha thought to look good in shorts. For this reason and others, cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged in today's society. My first reason why cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged is because it could cause health problems. According to Healthline.com, nerve damage, hematoma, and anesthesia complications can occur. Although there are tons of other health risks, these 3 have the highest percentage of occurrences. Out of these health risks, nerve damage is at the top of the list. Nerve damage can happen in breast augmentations and facelifts. 15% of women will permanently lose sensation from having a breast augmentation. The second most common side effect is hematoma. Hematoma is a large pocket of blood that resembles a large, painful bruise. It commonly occurs after facelifts. At the bottom of the top 3 is anesthetic complications. Almost every surgical procedure requires an anesthetic. Due to it being so commonly used, the risk of having multiple complications or a complication is very high. Some of the risks of using an anesthetic are lung infections, heart attacks, and strokes. These dangerous side effects are just one reason why cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged in today's society. My second reason why cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged is because accidents could happen. According to Health.com, errors by doctors and surgeons are occurring more frequently than in previous years. In a study, Health.com found that over a period of 6.5 years, doctors in Colorado alone operated on the wrong patient at least 25 times. They also found out that the doctors in Colorado had operated on the wrong part of the body on at least 107 patients. Those numbers are considerably higher than what researchers had estimated. One case that a researcher found during the study was of a surgeon leaving a surgical sponge in a patient's body. The patient started feeling weird symptoms and the area surrounding the sponge started to swell. After 6 weeks, the patient decided to go back to the doctor to get an x-ray. Once the doctor realized what was in the patient's body, the doctor rushed the patient to the emergency room. After the surgery, the patient needed 3 weeks of hospitalization. Accidents occurring during surgery is another very important reason why cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged in today's society. My last reason why cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged is because of the public's ideal image of an attractive person. According to a survey by RealSelf.com, social media plays a major role in the way people view themselves. In the survey, 527 people had to answer whether or not social media would impact their decision to have a cosmetic procedure. 15.37% answered yes, and 33.4% said they knew they wanted to change, but photos and comments on social media had made them become more aware of their flaws. Proponents of cosmetic surgery believe that it helps boost a person's confidence. Although people might feel more confident about themselves, it's only a temporary feeling. Getting cosmetic surgery doesn't always help psychological problems. According to ScienceNordic.com,
Researchers found that people who undergo cosmetic surgery are, on average, more depressed and anxious than those who do not. They are also more prone to suicide. One researcher said, cosmetic surgery has minimal effects on people's self-image. It's okay to change what you're dissatisfied with, but life is not necessarily going to get better. In conclusion, cosmetic surgery should not be encouraged in today's society because of health problems, accidents that could occur during the procedure, and the public's ideal image of an attractive person. Although technology is advancing in the fields every day, there's still a chance that something will go wrong during or after the surgery, something that could impact you negatively for the rest of your life. Don't fall victim to the pressures of society. Let's support each other on social media, in the classroom, and in the real world, and embrace each other's uniqueness. Thank you.
You know, most of us were born to freedom. And we know that we have a responsibility because we are free people. Learning to speak, to express ideas, that's part of our responsibility, part of our job as citizens. And so the kids are learning to speak, and they're preparing a talk on a subject about which they can feel passionately, and it's excellent training for them. They found a cause and they're defending it. And I certainly hope that they will continue to do this throughout their lives. That's part of democracy and what it's all about. And poor number 11, who has waited all this time. Skinny equals beautiful?
The Victoria's Secret model is being filmed by the cameraman. Her already slim figure will be photoshopped later. Media around the world is fueling the worrying rise in eating disorders, resulting in underweight children and teens. Prime examples of this horrific situation can be seen on the TV, in the media, and on the internet. Television. Television is the #1 most popular type of media. Comedy and sitcom shows such as SpongeBob and Martin make comments about one's weight, not knowing the harmful catastrophes that they are creating. On a daily basis, girls ages 6 to 12 will watch an average of 3 to 4 hours of TV a day. And in a recent study found with Courier Journal, women are much more likely to make and or receive a comment about their weight. Women at a mere 28% compared to men at 10%. What are society's standards? Society deems that you are not beautiful until you are an unhealthy weight. Teen stars such as Brittany Murphy, as you may recognize from Sin City and Happy Feet, were told that they are not beautiful. As a result from this, on November 26, 2009, she died of a cardiac arrest due to prolonged anorexia. Also, according to the United Kingdom News, Rachel Johnson, age 13, began idolizing movie stars for inspiration. She hid cuttings of movie stars in her locker. She ate half an apple every 2 days and even attempted no food and water for 10 days straight. The internet is a powerful tool. People use it for businesses, social media, schools, and even personal. Social media such as Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Instagram have the capability to show, quote, society standards. However, sites such as ProAnna and ProMia give what we would consider destructive tips, diets, and pictures to young females on how to stay beautiful. They give these young females the idea that skinny really does equal beautiful. Some might protest that the real responsibility lies with the person who decided to lose the weight by starving themselves, therefore making it their fault. Though the media being what it is today simply does not acknowledge this growing fact, therefore increasing it greatly. Rachel Johnson, as stated earlier, beat her eating disorder with the help of her encouraging mother. A year later, she co-founded a website called Beating Eating Disorders. Think about this. What is your standard? Think about all the people who have died because of this increasing problem. Think about the people you love and you know who have or are suffering from this problem. What is your standard? What do you think is truly beautiful? And what is the media doing to the young minds of the innocent? Thank you.
You are now free to mingle and tell them how wonderful they are. And we will, the refreshments in the back of the room,
Yes.
Be our guests. I think this would be a perfect time to show the speakers how much you appreciate them. Well, we've gotten in the habit over the years of doing them backwards. We choose three, and I will start with speaker number 3. But the message is, this was tough. They were all excellent. In 3rd place, from Memorial Park Middle School, Jacob Johns, The Death Penalty. Will you... Will the winners go over there, please, where they get their plaques and a handshake? Great. Speaker number 2 is from Lakeside Middle School, Dahira Omar. And in 1st place, from Black Hawk Middle School, Jada Gaskell. Our heartiest congratulations to you all. Don't throw your speeches away, you'll be giving them again, okay? And in the meantime, you may relax and have fun and celebrate. You are excused. The bell has just rung. No, wait a minute. Sorry about that.
No, I have one more thing. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Before we leave today, we have one more very special recognition. With this being the 40th anniversary of our contest, we felt it was the right time to recognize someone who has been a part of this program since the beginning. A woman who celebrated her 99th birthday this year, is still working as a columnist for the Journal-Gazette, recently received an honorary doctorate in humane letters from St. Francis, has been on numerous boards and councils throughout her life, has received countless awards, and still finds time to be the MC for our contest. Mrs. Betty Stein has been a long supporter of Fort Wayne Community Schools. Her poignant newspaper editorials, her public speaking engagements, and now her long-standing commitment to work each week at Memorial Park Middle School shows her love of this school district.
Nowhere has this commitment been stronger than in her advocacy of the Fort Wayne Community Schools Speech Contest. For as long as we can remember, Mrs. Stein has moderated this event. Few know that she also serves as speech instructor to any student who needs additional mentoring and preparation for this contest. Additionally, When the speech contest was in its infancy, Mrs. Stein went to Mrs. Lester Grau and asked for support in giving credibility to the contest. Soon thereafter, Superintendent Grau made an official announcement moving the contest from school buildings to the district boardroom. This one action was enough to formally elevate the significance of the event.
Through the years, we've all watched Mrs. Stein preside over the speech contest with extraordinary competence and grace. No one else has her elegance, her style, or her quick wit. As she has celebrated her 99th birthday, her 100th birthday will be in December, and we know that there will be many more. We're thinking that it would be appropriate to honor you, Mrs. Stein, on this special day. Every year, the winter school is given a traveling plaque that has their name and speech year on it. This is displayed at their school for the entire year until the next contest winner is named. After much thought, our committee went to Dr. Robinson and the school board and proposed to change the name of the winner's traveling trophy to the Betty Stein Award.
Oh, how lovely.
So without further ado, Mrs. Stein, will you please come up, stand next to us? Will the Stein children please come, and the Stein friends?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm really overwhelmed, and this doesn't happen very often. Thank you very much, and thank you for the honor. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
So look at the award.
Isn't that beautiful?
We also have a couple things for you as well.
Thank you.
So
Oh, how gorgeous.
here's a plant for you, and John, would you please?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's got a little weight to it. A little weight, yeah. A little bit.
Oh, it is, but gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, where's it going?
Which one? Take some space.
Yes, it is.
And we found out about your 3 favorite lunch places. So here's a gift certificate to Anastasia's. And here is a gift card for the brand's chocolates.
Oh. Oh. It's unbelievable, and it really is. It's unbelievable. Thank you. I will see to it next year that I can share some chocolates with you, but believe me, they won't be these DeBrands. Go do something.